Alright, welcome back to part 4 of my in-depth look at my hip-hop CD collection. Last time we left off with, we finished Cage, we had gone through Mr. Liv, Aesop Rock, the rest of the Cannibal Ox catalog. The very last rapper we touched on was Dizzy Rascal. And picking up on him, his boy in the corner, which I think this is an incredible album. This is a good starting place if you want to get into Dizzy Rascal is a UK rapper. I guess I didn't say that last time. He's from the UK. If you were looking to get into some dope UK hip hop, this is a good starting point. And I know there's a lot of UK hip hop fans out there that are gonna bite my head off for saying that. But as far as just trying to dip your toe in the water, Dizzy's a good starting point, and that's a good starting album. The reason I have him with the Def Jux stuff is because he released this album, which was later re-released by Def Jux, and it also included an LP remix on it. I believe UGK is actually on that song. So it's LP, UGK, Dizzy Rascal. Really, what else could you ask for? Very underrated group, Babeltron. Cool Calm Pete was the breakout star, if you will, of the group. The other rapper was Jay Manila, I believe. I hope I'm not butchering that name. And DJ Pre. And this is just fundamental, back to the basics, dope hip hop. Very good production, very good rhyming, solid album front to back. Pete would go solo and release Lost, and I believe this is another instance where this was reissued by Def Jux. As you can see, it adds on some a Blockhead remix, an RJD2 remix. Cool Calm Pete is a great rapper though. Like, he's a very underappreciated rapper. I feel like he's not mentioned enough. Like, nobody shows this dude any love anymore. To be fair, he kind of disappeared after this album. But man, what a way to go out. Oh, Juggernauts. This is a classic album too. I believe it starts with a John Coltrane sample. That's incredible. This is such a good album. This next one here I actually picked up not that long ago, and I have not heard it yet. I've not listened to it, but I'm excited. If it's anything like that first album, I'll be a happy man. I have a lot of C-Rayz Walz albums. I also have an interesting history with him. We'll just start pulling some albums here. Years and years and years ago, I ordered a bunch of CDs directly from C-Rayz himself. And man, like that, I waited and waited and waited, and they just didn't come. They didn't come. And I start hitting dude up. I'm like, yo, what's going on? What's going on? Where's my order at, man? And long story short, he gives me the runaround for the better part of a year. And I'm just fighting with him to, give me my money or give me my CDs, whichever comes first. It eventually gets to the point where he gives me his phone number, and I call him, and we chop it up, and we're talking, and he's like, yo, I got you. 6 months later, he finally got me, and I finally got the CDs I ordered. But ever since then, I had such a bad experience dealing with him that it kind of killed his music for me. So now I got all these C-Rayz Walz albums, and I don't even want to listen to them. This was his Def Jux release, him moving up to the big leagues. His earlier albums are good too. They're all solid. Ravi Pops on Def Jux is where he really started to kind of come into his own. This was a follow-up EP. It might have actually been before the album. I won't swear to that one. This was his next Def Jux release, You're the Beast, which I actually prefer over Ravi Pops. I feel like this is just a more focused album. It's not nearly as bloated. Then we kind of get into his oddities, where he just starts he starts cranking albums out, man. He got a lot of projects out there. They actually, you know what, this one's actually interesting because back in the day, C-Rayz Walz was on an MTV show called, I think it was called Made, where like they would take people and try to help them live their dreams. And he helped this white kid learn how to rap. He was like his coach. And he ended up, down the line, years later, putting this white kid on this album. I cannot for the life of me remember what that kid's name was. The Blizzard. That's right, his name was The Blizzard. The Blizzard from MTV's Made is on this album. He's got a verse on there. Chorus Rhyme was notable for Chorus Collection, which I don't know if you can see that, but Icon the Mike King, Wordsworth, Ari the Rugged Man, Thurston Howell III. There's a lot of rappers on that one song. Immortal Technique, Sean Price. That's kind of what makes this album special. This was C-Rayz Walz and Sharky. This was like a super weird experimental electronic hip-hop album. It's definitely an acquired taste, but I actually really enjoyed that one. Ah, this is an interesting one too. C-Rayz Walz and Kosha Dillz. Kosha Dillz has kind of been making a name for himself lately. Like, he's really been building a little buzz. I got this signed at a Kosha Dillz show. He actually approached me and he was giving me his whole pitch and introducing himself, and I already was a fan and I had this CD, so I let him finish doing his thing. I pulled the CD out of my bag and his face just lit up, man. He was so excited that somebody here knew who he was. But the concept of this record is freestyle versus written. Apparently C-Rayz Walz is freestyling all his verses. Kosha Dillz is the written. I don't know how true that is, but that's kind of how it was marketed. These are the albums. These are the albums. I didn't even open them up, that I had to fight tooth and nail to get from him. By the time I finally got him, I was done. I feel like maybe he signed one of them. Yeah, that one, matter of fact, it's signed. For whatever that's worth at this point. Alright, this one, we're done with C-Rayz, we're going into RJD2. I would hope that everybody has heard this album. If you're a fan of instrumental hip-hop, if you're a fan of DJ Shadow-esque instrumentals, like, this is a must. This album front, and it's not completely instrumental, 90% maybe, and then there's a few features here and there. I think Blueprint's on there, Copyright's on there, Jakai Demotomouth, but for the most part it's an instrumental album, and it's a flawless instrumental album. This was RJ at the absolute peak of his game. He followed that up with an EP that expanded. This is basically just more of the same. Some remixes. It's really good. I still prefer the album, but when you're done with the album, there's more to that album. This was the official follow-up, and he kind of started branching out musically, getting away from hip-hop and just kind of going off into rock and electronic a little more. This is good. It's not as good, but it's still worth listening to. This one I was not a big fan of. I'd have to listen to it again. I remember at some point, maybe his later albums, maybe not this one, but at some point RJ started singing over his own production, and it will never do absolutely nothing for me. I think this was a compilation, just like a mix CD, mega mix. This one, unreleased instrumentals. This is throwback. This isn't when he started getting more experimental. Like, this album, I know for a fact, I remember really disliking this album. I would stay away from some of his, I don't know about his more recent stuff, so I won't say stay away from his newer stuff, but there was a patch in the middle, at least, where he was a little iffy. These are the instrumentals to an album he did with AC Alone, which we'll be talking about way later, I'm sure. It was a great album, though. Great instrumentals. My favorite RJ projects are when he teamed up with Blueprint. I love Blueprint as a rapper. I feel like he's underappreciated as a rapper. And on the Soul Position projects, it gives him a chance to kind of shine and step out in front of the mic and just be a dope rapper. RJ handles all the production on the Soul Position records. Just letting Blueprint do his thing and rap, and they were a really good duo. I won't say they were Run the Jewels before Run the Jewels, because musically they're nothing alike, but the idea is the same. Just two incredible artists from two completely different backgrounds coming together, making some really incredible music. And everything they did was great. Every album, EP, instrumentals, like all of it. It was all gold. Blueprint is a personal favorite of mine. Not only because I have a soft spot in my heart for Midwest artists, but I feel like he's such a dope experimental producer. He's such a dope experimental rapper. And I'm a fan of those guys that can kind of do it all and make it look easy. And a lot of people try to sweat Blueprint as a rapper. He's a dope rapper. I'm not going to hear otherwise. Blueprint is nice. This was kind of when he, kind of a minor breakthrough for him. This was the album 1988 that kind of really got his name out there, as far as like the critics really raving over it. And it's definitely a great project. I personally prefer his more experimental stuff. This one I believe was an instrumental album. Very dope. He did some really dope stuff. Blueprint versus Funkadelic, you know what I mean? Just an album completely created from Funkadelic samples. It's incredible. And then he went on to do Blueprint Who, which was, you know, Blueprint flexing with the Who samples. And it's just, man, he's so underrated. The dude is so underrated. Anyways, we're gonna call it a day there, wrap it up. Next time, it's paying over. We're gonna be going into some more Blueprint, some of his Weightless records, Madlib. I know there's gonna be a lot of people interested in all the Madlib. There's gonna be a lot of Madlib next time. So I appreciate it, guys. Next time.